Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock miner, Brian Johnson. And we had a big gap up to start the day. Completely, nobody could have seen that coming. What were they going to say, though? Of course there's going to be a bailout. They've talked about bailouts of Greece, though, for how many weeks now? And for some reason, each one of those quote unquote gonna happen bailouts just seems to somehow fall beside the wayside eventually. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that all of the countries are broke, and I don't know who's actually going to be able to bail one another out. Probably has nothing to do with that. But as it is, the markets ate it up, drove the markets right back up again. S&P, Dow, Nasdaq all up about 4% on the day. Huge moves in the market. But then mostly sideways all day long. This is where you get your hands chopped up if you try to play a lot of these moves. There were some stocks that were definitely worth playing today, but you had to be in the right place at the right time to really get in on them. Now, what do we see overall? Well, right back up to overhead resistance. Isn't it funny how that stuff works? So, big gap up, but we come right into more overhead resistance. However, lather, rinse, repeat. What is this? It's just another high base. So we have to give the advantage at this point to the bulls. This just looks like a high base. It did hold up today, looking for breaks up and over this 10,850 mark now to get back to the long side. If you want, kind of a intraday long, I'd be watching this 10,950 area if it gets back up into that for strong overhead resistance. We should see that hold, pause, something at that point for at least a little while. I think that would be a big area to be watching. If this holds, we are back up to 50 period moving averages. Strong overhead resistance. If this manages to hold, maybe we see the bears bring it back down, but I'm looking for breaks then below 10,700 or ultimately 10,600 if you are looking to get a bearish. From a daily, look at the big white candle up. Just a lot of volatility in the markets. I'm sure it played havoc on the VIX today, but you can see it coming right back up and stopping at the 50-day moving average. Very, very logical place to see it pause for at least a day, if nothing else. But really, bigger picture, I don't know, kind of in a tweener mode now again with this big gap up, move sideways. The move sideways makes me a little bit short-term bullish again on the markets till we see a break back down below these lower levels. But this holding very nicely, getting back up and over this heavy level of 10,730 and holding there now. So we'll see if we get breaks back below there, but those will be your new entries. Now, I did not do anything. When it gapped up today, I even sent an email out to my subscribers and told them this is where I'm looking to get out of my short position. This is where my stops are at. This is how I'm looking to play it. And really, I was not looking to do anything all day long. Just wait to see what the market's going to do. Let it play itself out and decide. Let the charts kind of decide for me which way I'm going to go next. But I don't like jumping in right away and joining the crowd. I'm sure a lot of people got long today only to see it go really nowhere after the gap up. If you weren't long from Friday, like late Friday, I don't know how you really capitalize on that. It's just nothing to really do. You missed the move. It was 400 points to start the day, and then it really didn't go anywhere from that point forward. We finished up 406 points up. So we really didn't move all that much once the day started. NASDAQ, same thing. Gap up, march sideways. From a daily perspective, we're back up into these overhead areas, looking to maybe close in again on the 50-day moving average. We'll see if that holds. That's up over 1961-ish or so to get back up and above that particular area. Then I think we're looking at the big 2,000 mark again, if it'll reach that area. Still some overhead resistance it's got to get through. Okay, the breaks of these channel lines, right? Remember we talked about maybe we'll see a close, and if it rolls back around and comes back up, what are we looking to retest? We're looking to retest the underside of this blue line. From a weekly standpoint, that puts us back up into the 1975-ish area, which is what we saw on some of the other charts as overhead resistance as well. So we'll be watching to see if we get a retest of that area eventually. That is just simply a retest of the underside of these blue lines. If you want to stay bullish and like uber bullish, on these markets, you need this price to get back up and above this blue line. That's the next line in the sand. For me, that's, remember those blue lines we were watching on the dailies, and I said, yeah, these are going to be revisited and they're going to be broken and whatever else. This is kind of that new blue line for me now. Look at the weeklies. I'm looking for this one to hold from this point forward. Maybe we get above it. I don't know if it's going to last very long. This blue line here is going to be very difficult to overcome now going forward on the weeklies. SPX on a 60-minute gap up and run sideways, looking like all the rest of them did. Coming back and holding this 1150 area, and now we close just below the 1160 area. Where would be the next run? 1171, and above that, this 1180-ish area for the upside. Here we are on a weekly, looking at 1200, maybe even above it eventually, to get back to the underside of this blue line. Will we make it? I don't know. It's the first day on a huge gap up. By the way, Mondays are still good to the markets. Thought I'd remind you of that. Always got to come into a Monday with a bullish sentiment just because of the way the last few Mondays, or the last umpteen Mondays have gone. But once again, Mondays are very good to the markets. Seems that over the weekends are very good from a news standpoint, and it's been driving the markets up. So let's watch these overhead areas and see if we ever get back to this blue line. But that would be my major line of overhead resistance now for the bulls. Huge move back down on the VIX. Up, 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 only to come right back down. Just what we've seen back in this area here. Big moves up, moves down, big moves up, moves down. Kind of a lather, rinse, repeat here, all the way back down to below 30. So a 30% move today alone in the VIX would have been expected from the very get-go, as we saw a huge gap up in the markets. We'll see if this holds tight for another day. We may see another day of consolidation while the markets still try to figure out where they're going. Maybe we, kind of bleed higher a little bit. It's really hard to tell. Big moves like this tend to lead to consolidation. We'll see if it'll make up its mind. Here it is on a weekly. Look how we're back below that 30 mark. So from an overhead resistance area, I was looking to maybe we reached 50 if the selling pressure kept up early in the week. Not to happen. All the way back down below 30, back into a slightly fearful to kind of complacent zone. I guess I would put this not in the green, but in the yellow area for the VIX, whereas this 42, anything above this 30-ish area would be slowly getting into the red, if you want to look at it from that standpoint. Apple on a 60-minute, gapping back up and above this overhead resistance. Cannot keep a good stock down, and Apple's one of them. This is why we have to be very careful shorting strong stocks like this. This was a great short last week. If you got out of it on Friday, congratulations. If you held, oops, looks like you might be back into break even or maybe even a little bit of pain here. But Apple getting back up and over this blue line, maybe it falls back down. If it does, we're looking for retests of 250 and ultimately 245 to the downside. Above us is that 257.50 and above the 20-day, which is 255. I'll call it 255.75. So any one of those two areas I'd be watching for your next overhead resistance on Apple. Weekly standpoint, back up and above the blue line. Just what we were wondering, waiting to see. And it looks to me like it's held pretty nicely from last week. One day into it, but would be a pretty major fall for Apple to drop down below that blue line by the end of this week. FAS on a 60-minute, also gapping up, moving sideways. No trading here really today at all, guys. There's only a couple of stocks that really gave you good opportunities to trade anything today, and these were not any of them. Big gap down in FAZ, look at that. Right back into this bear flag we had been watching and just floundering around between the $12.50 and $13 area. Very, very, very difficult trading today. These are great days to sit on your hands. Save your money. Don't get killed in the chop. Back to the Dow. That'll do it for today's video. Really, once again, I don't know how you trade something like this. Very, very difficult. Best to sit on your hands. Find anything else to do. If you like to quilt, that was a great time to quilt. Quilting was good for the day. Outside of that, really nothing else. There's no trading to be done on days like this. Big, big gaps up like this, people think they're missing the boat. Truth is, if you didn't get in late Friday to the long side or something, yeah, I don't know. It'd be very difficult to have obviously predicted this huge move up come Monday. Yeah, bounce? Yeah. Maybe a little move up for a Monday? Sure. But something like this, no. And we've seen these before. Bailout after bail. Oh, we're going to bail out Greece. Well, no, maybe we won't. We're going to bail out Greece. Well, yeah, I don't know if we can either. Now, apparently, they're going to bail out Greece, fix the entire European world with this $1 trillion whatever it is, but that might fizzle too. So we'll see if it has any kind of staying power over the next few days. We watch in the charts, look at those levels that I gave you, and we'll be back with you again tomorrow. See you then. Bye.